Hi guys, thanks for checking out another video. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through how I detangle and style my daughter's hair. She previously had a bun, a flat twisted bun, and I'll insert a picture somewhere for you to see it. So all we did was remove her twist. We have not used a comb or anything. We just removed the twist. As you can see, her hair is pretty thick at the roots. It's pretty dirty. I'm going to walk you through how I detangle her hair. And we're going to prepare to style it. I don't really know what I'm going to do to it next. Sometimes I have an idea in mind. Sometimes I just play it by ear. Or by visual. Or by whatever. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just separate her hair. With my hands. Lay it down. With my hands, it doesn't have to be neat, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just to get some organization so that you can detangle the hair without being overwhelmed. And if you run into a knot or a tangle, because you will, because her hair has not been detangled, just gently separate the hair. Again, your parts, it doesn't have to be neat, just separate the hair. And what I like to do is clip or twist this part to keep it out of the way. The parts that I'm not using, I just clip them and keep them out of the way. Now, because her hair is pretty thick, the section that I'm going to be working in, I like to separate this section into smaller sections because her hair is pretty thick. So I'm going to separate this section into 1, 2, 3 sections. 1 because her hair is thick, and 2 is because her hair is pretty dirty and it's pretty tangled. So that's going to help save us time. What I'm doing now is I'm just looking for any clumps where the hair is kind of matted together so I'll know where to focus. Most of my daughter's hair is tangled in the root. That's where the most tangling happens. So what I do is I spray the hair, lightly mist it. Nothing heavy, just lightly mist the hair with water. And what I do is I work in a downward motion. So what I'm doing here is, 1, I'm helping the water penetrate the hair shaft quickly, and 2, just any loose hairs that may come out like this, they're going to easily slide out. What I'm doing is I'm checking for tangles and things like that. Again, you see how the hair just slides out. Now what I'm going to be detangling her hair with is TM Hair Products Smooth Through Detangler. This is what I'm going to be detangling her hair with. So what I do is I squeeze it along the root of the hair first, and with the pads of my fingers I just work the detangler into her hair. And what happens is you can feel the detangler kind of start to penetrate and break down the hair, and that's the feeling you're looking for. Be very gentle on the nape area. And this detangler is pretty thick, so if it feels too thick, just spray a little more water on the hair. But right now my focus is on the root of her hair. My focus is on the root of her hair. Making sure all of her strands are coated. Now, once I feel the detangler penetrating the root, I can spray it with a little more water. Like I said, it's pretty thick. And then I'll take some of the detangler and go down the shaft of her hair. Always working in a downward motion. And as you can see, shed hairs are still coming out. What I like to use is a wide tooth comb, and I start from the ends of the hair and work my way up. And if you run into a snag or a tangle, or if you feel heavy resistance, stop, focus on the knot or the tangle. Find where it is and just focus on the knot or the tangle. As you can see here, the comb is gliding through her hair pretty easily because the detangler has had a chance to penetrate. Now as I work my way up to the scalp area, that's where the most of her tangles are, in the nape of her neck. So what I do is I gently pick through that area, very gently. And what it does, I don't know if you can see it here, but you see this line here? What that is shed hairs coming out of her hair that'll be easily removed into the comb. And what I'm doing is I'm just working the shed hairs out. As you can see all the shed hairs and knots at the end of her hair that easily come out. So you're not just ripping out hair. This is shed old hairs that needed to come out of her head. And that's what causes a lot of tangles, because those hairs are not properly removed. So they get tangled onto your good hairs, and then it creates a problem. So again, just combing it through, you see how the shed hairs are just coming off on the comb. And when you detangle, hair loss is going to happen. It's just the amount of hair loss that we try to prevent. We try to prevent excessive amounts of hair loss. As you can see, there wasn't a lot of tugging, pulling. This section is now detangled. So what I like to do is clip it out of the way, because I'm going to take this whole section and twist it together when I'm done. So I'm taking another small section. Doesn't have to be neat. Again, doing the same things, looking through her hair for any where hair might be matted or something like that, because you want to focus on those areas. You don't just want to rake through the hair. And as you do this, it'll become a lot easier and a lot faster. Lightly mist with water. It used to take me 2 hours. It would take me 2 hours to detangle one of my daughter's hair. Now it only takes me about maybe 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes if her hair is just like ridiculously tangled. But on average, 20 to 30 minutes to detangle their hair. So I can detangle all their heads in one day, whereas I couldn't do that before. If I detangled their hair in one day, I couldn't style it that day. As you can see, shed hairs are starting to come out. Again, putting the smooth through detangler on the hair, starting at the root with the pads of my fingers, working it in. Making sure her hair is completely covered. Focus more on the area that your hair tangles the most, where you have the most matting and tangling. Like I said, I noticed with my daughters, it's the root. Always working in a downward motion. So these steps are repetitive, and you'll hear me repeat them over and over again. Again, as you see, the shed hairs just start to slide out. Once I feel the detangler penetrating her hair, I'll go ahead, run the detangler down the hair shaft. Sorry, some shed hair got on my finger. And again, work the detangler through. Wide tooth comb, starting from the ends. Starting from the ends. Working my way back up. If you feel resistance, stop and find out where the tangle is and work it out. And again, as I work my way to the root, I kind of pick through the hair to loosen up the shed hairs and the dirt and lint that may have accumulated at the root of her braids. See, so now, again, I work it down, and the shed hairs just slide out of the comb. And this is great for people who are very tender-headed. If you have very thick, coarse, coily hair, this is a great detangler for all hair types, but especially for thick, coarse, curly, coily, tangled, matted type hair. And again, just picking through. And as you can see here, no flinching, no ouch, no ducking. You know how we are when we get our hair detangled. None of that. This takes a lot of the pain and frustration out of detangling. That was my problem. Two of my daughters are extremely tender-headed, and detangling their hair was a nightmare. But this made it so much easier. As you can see, section 2 is done. Clip it out of the way and go on to section 3. If you encounter any resistance, like that's pretty tight. So what I'll do, put more detangle on that area. Start from the ends again. You see that's a lot easier to detangle. Comb through. If you encounter any resistance, find out where the knot is and work your way down. And what this raking motion does is it loosens up the shed hairs again, like I said before, to slide them down to the end and come right out in the comb. See that line? That's where all the loose shed hairs. See how it slides, continues to slide down to the end. You see it? Right here. Now watch this line and watch the hairs that just slides out. See? Go back up again, making sure I got all the shed hairs. See how the hair is just sliding? The shed hairs just slide out.